People pleasing is one of those habits that looks harmless on the surface, but in reality, it does a lot of damage not only to your self-esteem and confidence, but also to the quality of the relationships in your life. Now, if you find yourself constantly chasing validation, seeking approval, putting others' needs before yours, or struggling to speak up, and you want to know how to stop, this video is for you. I've already made a video on 10 ways to tell when you're people pleasing, so this is that video's counterpart, and this is 10 ways to stop people pleasing. Let's get into it. Number 1, the most important thing you have to do if you want to stop people pleasing is to realize that you're enough. People pleasing at its core comes from a need to be liked. It comes from a low sense of self-worth. In other words, you subconsciously feel like you're not good enough, so you're looking to other people in order to feel good about yourself. People with low self-worth look to others around them in order to feel accepted because they themselves don't accept themselves. They are constantly chasing validation from other people, and they go above and beyond for others while also undermining their own needs. On the flip side, people with high self-esteem feel good, feel comfortable with who they are. They feel content with who they are. They accept themselves fully, so they don't need to chase validation from external sources since they can get it from themselves. They're also less bothered if somebody doesn't like them or disagrees with them, so they're less likely to dismiss their own needs in favor of somebody else's. So you gotta first and foremost realize that you're enough. Work on accepting yourself fully, even if there are things that you would like to change about yourself. Number 2, peel back the onion and start asking yourself why. When you find yourself agreeing to something that you don't actually want to do or feeling like you have to behave a certain way in order to be liked, ask yourself, why am I behaving this way? What is the true intention behind my behavior? Start peeling back the layers about why and keep asking yourself why till you get into the true intention. Am I helping this family member because I truly want to, or because I'm afraid that if I don't, they're going to be upset with me? Am I staying casual with this romantic interest because that's what I want from the relationship? Or am I really just afraid of telling them that I want something more exclusive and serious because I'm afraid if I do tell them that they'll leave me? Am I going above and beyond for this person because it brings me joy, or because I feel like I have to earn affection? A lot of people-pleasing behaviors themselves aren't bad. Helping people is a good thing. Knowing how to compromise is a sign of maturity. But these behaviors start becoming problematic when they stem from fear. So start discerning between the things that you are doing out of enjoyment and the things that you're doing out of fear. Number 3, if you want to stop people pleasing, you have to start accepting appreciation for who you are, not just what you do. The point here isn't to stop caring altogether about what people think. We are social creatures. Humans are social creatures. We like having people like us. It's going to be an uphill battle to try to convince yourself that you don't care at all about what other people think of you. Instead of trying not to care whether somebody likes you, start shifting your understanding of why people like you. You might believe deep down that people only like you because of the stuff that you do for them. So of course you're going to keep bending over backwards for them and putting their needs above yours if you feel like that's what it takes in order to be liked. But here's a crazy idea. What if people just like you for you? What if you don't need to do anything? What if they just like your personality or your sense of humor, or you just click with somebody naturally? What if all you have to do is to be yourself? Things like love, friendship, and appreciation, these aren't things that you have to earn. These should just be unconditional. So start looking for evidence that the people in your life enjoy having you around just because they like you, not because you have to do anything for them. Start noticing when people are enjoying your presence without you having to do anything. Number 4, figure out your own preferences. When we're constantly putting other people's needs above ours and undermining our own needs, we often end up losing touch with what it is that we actually want. When we put other people's happiness ahead of ours, or when we're always trying to make sure that other people are happy, we sometimes don't even stop to think if what we're doing is actually making us happy. You might be used to saying things like, I don't care, it's up to you. You choose. I'm indifferent either way. It doesn't really matter to me. What would you rather do? Now, I'm not saying you have to care about everything all the time. That's not the point here. But no one is completely indifferent to everything. It's just that sometimes we get so preoccupied with making sure other people are happy that we forget to actually check in with ourselves to see what would make us happy. So start getting honest with yourself. Ask yourself, what do you like? What don't you like? How do you prefer to spend your time? What activities fire you up? What activities are actually draining you? What people are draining you? If you want to start speaking up for yourself, you first have to get really clear on what does and doesn't work for you. Number 5, if you want to stop people pleasing, you have to start asking for what you need. If you are constantly going above and beyond for others and you are frustrated because people don't reciprocate your effort, you got to start being more explicit about asking for what you need. You got to start holding yourself accountable for being assertive. Now, you are the only person who truly knows what it is that you need. So unless you speak up, a lot of people are just going to assume that everything is fine and dandy on your end. People have no way of knowing what you need unless you tell them. Learning how to be assertive and communicate what it is that we need is part of healthy communication. It's part of healthy relationships because it helps us prevent resentment in the long run. So start helping others understand how to better support you by communicating clearly what it is that you need and want. Number 6, practice saying no. Knowing how to say no is such an important skill, not only for your confidence, but also for improving the relationships around you. Because people have no way of knowing what doesn't work for you unless you can clearly communicate it to them. Think about it. Even the best intentioned person isn't going to know that you don't jive with something if you're just smiling and nodding along to whatever they say. Saying no is a really powerful tool for improving relationships because it allows you to provide helpful feedback to the other party. It allows you to build more honest relationships. It actually improves trust with the other person because they know that you're being authentic, that your responses are genuine, you're not just faking it for them. And ultimately, it also empowers the other person and it empowers the people around you to also speak up for what isn't working for them because they see you leading by example. So start practicing saying no to things that don't sit well with you. Number 7, if you're constantly seeking approval from others and bending over backwards for people, wait to be asked before offering to help, before helping. Now, helping itself isn't a bad thing. You absolutely should care about other people and want to help make their lives better. But people pleasers and people with low self-esteem often jump the gun and try fixing something before the other person's even had a chance to ask. It can be really easy to assume that somebody else is telling us about their problems because they expect us to fix them. But the reality of the situation is a lot of times people just like to vent. They just want to feel acknowledged. They want their problem to feel heard. They just want to process out loud. And assuming that it's your responsibility to fix all the problems that anybody ever tells you about could actually be doing more harm than good. If you're constantly clamoring for any opportunity to fix people's problems, one of 2 things is bound to happen. Number 1, the kind and loving people in your life are going to start censoring themselves around you because they don't want to stress you out. And number 2, you're more likely to attract the kind of people who are going to take advantage of you because they can see that you're so willing to bend over backwards for them. Now, don't get me wrong, helping is a good thing. Confident people love helping others. And they can tell the difference between when somebody is venting because they just want to be heard and when somebody is actually asking for help. So wait to be asked for help before assuming it's your responsibility to fix somebody's problem, and start discerning between when somebody's telling you about something because they actually need help or when they're telling you about something because they just want a friend to listen to them. Number 8, don't react, respond. If you ever find yourself nodding your head to something in agreement when you actually don't agree, or overcommitting, or saying yes to something when your gut is really saying no, it's possible that you are reacting rather than responding. Now, what's the difference? Reacting is giving into your knee-jerk impulse. It's compulsively agreeing to something before you've given your mind a chance to think about whether or not you actually agree with that thing. On the flip side, responding is taking your time to come up with an answer that aligns with what you truly want. It's giving yourself enough time between the event and your reply to the event to actually think through, well, what is it that I actually want? And to give yourself a chance to respond in alignment to that. When we're overly concerned with being liked, our gut impulse is often to agree with people before we give our mind a chance to catch up. So work on responding rather than reacting. Remember, it's okay to give yourself a moment to process your thoughts before you respond. Number 9, set boundaries. Setting boundaries can be really scary if you're somebody who's used to putting people ahead of you. It can feel like it's something that's selfish. But I want you to have the mindset of setting boundaries is a way of preserving relationships. If you have a problem with somebody's behavior, sweeping it under the rug feels like you're keeping the peace, but it's actually doing a lot of damage in the long run. Bottling up your emotions doesn't actually work. You either bottle them up for so long that something triggers you and you flip out at the other person, or you are successful in bottling up your emotions and ultimately become more distant and cold because you resent the other person. Either way, it's not good for the relationship. Think of setting boundaries as preventative care for your relationship, whether it's a romantic or friendship or family or whatever. It's kind of like going to the dentist. Sure, it sucks to have your teeth scraped twice a year by a stranger, but it's a lot better than waking up one day with agonizing pain and having to pay for an expensive root canal. It's the same thing with setting boundaries. Sure, it's uncomfortable to tell somebody that they've overstepped, but it's a hell of a lot better than letting the relationship go up in flames or letting it fizzle out because you were too afraid to say what you needed. Number 10, practice healthy conflict resolution. Here are some key differences between unhealthy conflict resolution and healthy conflict resolution. Wow, that is a mouthful. Unhealthy conflict resolution. You avoid bringing up issues and problems because you are uncomfortable with conflict. You're constantly second guessing yourself or undermining your own needs, and you're rushing to accept compromises that don't actually sit very well with you because you just want the uncomfortable conflict to be over. On the flip side, healthy conflict resolution, you are comfortable bringing up issues because you know that it's a part of maintaining healthy relationships. You can be open to someone else's point of view while also understanding that your experience and your emotions are valid. And you're taking your time to come up with a solution that meets everybody's needs instead of rushing to just resolve the conflict. Remember, conflict is a natural part of all relationships. And in fact, it brings us closer with people because good, healthy conflict resolution forces us to be vulnerable and to be compassionate towards the other person so that we can better understand each other. Now, if you like this video, be sure to check out my free guide on how to stop people pleasing. It's the PDF version of this video, so you can reference it whenever you need to, and it contains more detail that I wasn't actually able to go into as much in this video. I'll include a link to it in the comments and in the description of the video as well. I hope this video was helpful, and I'll see you in the next one.